Welcome back to the Upsurge Contenders League. Today it's a best of three between Dynasty Esports and Illinois Academy. My name is Wiggs, that is Gus, and we're going to get started with draft as soon as possible. We do apologize about the delays, and I'm excited to get going in this one.
Yeah, there should be a very interesting and hype best of three. Anytime you got dynasty teams playing, things get spicy. As we see, pick a man's coming out rapid fire.
Yeah, the Yasuo, Pantheon, Rek'Sai, Aatrox, Singed. Oh my goodness, they planned this all along already. And Kaisa, that's six. That's the fastest six bans I've ever seen.
Yeah, and coming right into the first pick, Xayah. With Kaisaban, Xayah is essentially the premier ADC still in the game, and responding right back with Caitlyn Morgana, one of the most oppressive lanes you could ever hope to pick in the bottom lane. So I'm interested to see if they're willing to play Zyrakan with the Morgana opposing them or not, because traditionally, you got things like Morgana that are really good into things they engage, like the Rakan, Black Shield being able to stop Rakan from going in and doing everything that he wants to do. So
The Jarvan's going to come in as a counter. That's actually a really good pick against Morgana because Jarvan is one of the only champions that actually ignores Morgana binding. He can still flag and drag if he's binded or not. So that's a really solid pick to counteract that Morgana.
not only that, creating terrain, Black Shield can't do anything against created terrain. So Jarvan ulting someone with a Black Shield will still take the damage, still get locked up in the Cataclysm, and will likely force a flash if anything. And that's an interesting support pickup there. The Zyra coming out, trying to pop the Black Shield before throwing out the root as the Zyra. So I like that answer. And, Illinois Academy also picks up their jungler and bottom lane on their side of the draft with Olaf, who is one of the strongest, if not the strongest, early game junglers there is. He just kind of gets to do whatever he wants in the early game.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that Zyra pickup because I think when you are locking in, when you're playing against Caitlyn Morgana, I think the only thing you really can do is pick a safe lane, like maybe bring someone like Braum to block all those skill shots, or just bring as much damage as possible back at them. And that's what the idea was with the Zyra here. But bans are coming out. We've got a Kennen taken away. We've got a Galio taken away. And Zoe also going to be taken away. So lots of mid-target bans. And the Silas will finish up that as well.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. I think Lane Silas is still somewhat okay into certain matchups after the latest round of nerfs, even though they killed Jungle Silas pretty much with the...
Yeah, they did.
They brought back the armor, but the clear speed is just really bad with the passive changes. I've seen some people pick it and still do okay, but overall it just seems like he's really not worth the effort. And so more of a lane counter pick type of situation, but Sion being locked in here for Illinois Academy, just a big old beefy front line, and he's one of those champions that you can pretty much safely blind pick into almost anything, because the only things that really would feast on him, things like Vayne top and stuff, are things that not every team is comfortable playing.
Absolutely. I think he's one of the most dominant tanks in the game, alongside Ornn, who also just got locked in. So Illinois Academy is going to save their last pick to counterpick this mid laner lock in. Zyra technically can still go mid if they want to try and pull a fast one on him, but I don't think they will here.
Yeah, Zyra mid would be pretty interesting. I don't remember the last time I've seen a non-meme Zyra mid, but just going to be just the standard Orianna. And if you look at the team comp of Dynasty, there is so much engage. You have Jarvan, you have Ornn for long range engage, you have Zyra and Orianna for more closer range pick potential, Shockwave. You can use that as a pick tool. Zyra's roots and her ultimate. They just have fantastic engage and ways to make sure that a wombo combo in a team fight comes off. And countering Orianna with the Azir lock in, just trying to get something that's longer range and that will scale very well. And if this game goes to late game, Dynasty's going to have a really hard time if their engage is not fully successful of doing anything, because the long range of Caitlyn and Azir is pretty oppressive.
Absolutely. Now, what I do like about the Orianna pickup as well as the Ornn pickup is that it almost makes Morgana practically useless when you have that Death Ball combination. The fact that Morgana wants to press R, flash in, and press Hourglass doesn't really help when she's just going to get one shot anytime she tries to do it because she's walking into so many different people that can just lock her down and destroy her. So I think that really defeats the purpose of the Morgana pick. Also, there is so many champions that can stop. There's so many champions that on the side of Dynasty that can't very easily get picked. You know, Morgana is the king of hitting you with a binding when you least expect it. And Ornn is going to be tanky enough. A Jarvan can get out of it, and there's CC from Zyra and so on. Everybody can save each other. Everybody can get each other out of these different abilities. I do think that the early game significantly favors Illinois, but
Yeah.
Dynasty's got the team fight.
Yeah, just like you're saying, you got Olaf in the early game. He can pretty much run the jungle and run that early matchup however he wants. Jarvan's no slouch early game, but he's not an Olaf. And as we know, Caitlyn's famous early game, really strong due to her range advantage and the traps and the headshots, but that mid-game power trough is something they have to look out for. But if they get enough of a lead, that mid-game power trough can be negated somewhat, especially if they're able to get a bunch of plates and rotate them into a different lane to get the plates off of another turret as well. And that's kind of what you pick the Caitlyn Morgana lane for, is just that early game dominance. Shove people in, get plates down, put the traps down, bind them into trap, into net, into the dirtiest combos you've ever seen. You see some Saber combos coming out. And, all the while, Caitlyn scales relatively well. Azir scales really well, and Sion will become a 5,000 health tank if the game goes late. But there are tons of tools on Dynasty to make things happen, just like we were talking about. If they find the Call of the Forge God into the Cataclysm, into the Shockwave, into the Zyra ultimate, Xayah's sitting there auto-attacking. If Azir and Caitlyn are in range to be autoed by Xayah or hit by the Shockwave or something, they're probably just going to straight up die. And that's going to be the story of the game, is whether or not Dynasty can force their engage on Illinois.
Yeah, and I mean, Azir can literally, if played properly, destroy that combination from even happening. The second Jarvan goes in, it's all about the Azir to press R and force everybody away. The only problem is, if Jarvan's smart, he doesn't press R until Azir gives up his ult. Then they wait for another opportunity and then go for it. But I think the Azir can make or break Illinois. I think they can avoid this huge team fight from happening so long as that ultimate is placed properly.
Definitely, and there's also just the worry of, even if Azir does hit Jarvan away, but he's still too close, Cataclysm has a bit of a range on it that he could probably actually jump over the Azir wall and land the Cataclysm anyway. And, as long as it's someone that isn't Azir or Caitlyn, the rest of them are stuck. They have to flash out of the Cataclysm.
Yeah.
Caitlyn can net out, Azir can use his E to get on out. Even with Olaf's Ragnarok on, it's still in terrain, and Jarvan is good into Olaf in that sense, where he can keep him contained, because the Ragnarok only stops CC, doesn't let him run through terrain. Right. But yeah, just like you said, it's going to be on Dandito's Azir to try and stuff these engages, as well as Olaf and Morgana's CC immunities too, to try and make sure that if a Shockwave does happen, at least they don't get pulled back in, at the very least.
Definitely. And I think what excites me the most is going to be this bottom lane matchup. I think there's just going to be so much aggression and so much damage from both sides. Caitlyn and Xayah both have great range as AD carries, and Zyra and Morgana are both known for just dealing unbelievable amounts of damage. It's going to be so much fun, and I think the junglers both are going to look to get in that lane and get their AD carries fed.
Yeah, Caitlyn and Morgana just want to shove, but Zyra does do a pretty good job of counter pushing herself, so should make it to where if things go well for the side of Punk and Castform down in the bottom lane, that they won't be completely under turret and under that siege where they have to dodge all these dark bindings and keep their eyes out not to step on the cupcakes. But should be very interesting as we're getting into the spectator delay here.
Absolutely. Well, I do want to tell you guys, if you're looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards to keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. If you need to find a new keyboard and more for your setup, we can't recommend anyone better than Kono. For more information, head over to kono.store to check out what they have to offer. That's Kono store. Kono, discover amazing products. With that, we'll be back with the start of the game. And all right, I totally didn't say something 5 seconds ago. We are back with the game, game one, between Dynasty Esports and Illinois Academy. And here we go with the level 1s. The 5-man invade for the red side, but just the protection, anti-invade strategy coming out from Dynasty. Almost got caught. Punk just barely gets out of that one.
Yep, level 1s are always interesting. Just a quick little dodgery. I'm always interested to see what different teams do at level 1 because, you know, technically there's like infinite possibilities, but it's always pretty interesting when someone busts out something that you've never seen before. Unfortunately, this game pretty standard.
Yeah, there was a really good ward actually placed by Dynasty Esports. They now know where the Olaf is starting. They got that ward in while all the attention was over near the Xayah, which is great. So that gives them information of where the Olaf is starting on the map. Meanwhile, there is no information whatsoever for Illinois as where this Ornn is starting. He's going to go ahead, or sorry, where the Jarvan is starting. He's going to go ahead and start blue side.
Yep, and it's kind of something that a lot of people do when they're up against someone who's going to start red buff on the red side, is if they want to match the pressure that will come to the bottom lane from them starting top, roaming bottom. They will also start top and roam bottom, even though, you know, starting red buff is generally preferred. You get the health regen and all that other stuff, the extra damage on hit helps you clear a little faster, but, you know, pathing is very important, so it makes sense that the Jarvan would want to mimic Olaf and try to mitigate whatever he can out of the early game.
Everything's just going to be pretty calm to start things out in every lane. I expect the Jarvan right at level 3 to maybe try and make a play mid. I think trying to play around the Orianna is the right way to do it, because that's really the center of your wombo combo. That's your main source of damage in these fights.
Yeah, very much. And, you know, you never want Azir to get ahead early because if Azir is designed to be weak early and become strong later. That's how scaling champions work. But if you get him accelerated, he becomes oppressive really quickly, and even something like an Orianna will have a rough time facing off against him.
Yeah, so I'm paused at 250. We actually got desynced there, so we're gonna resync it real quick. So let's all get to 250 and we can resume there. That's not bad.
Alright, I'm at 250 as well. Yeah, the spectator client is always lovely to work with.
Alright, there we go. Nice and synced up, ready to go. Now, I'm interested to see, now that this Olaf is pretty much almost done with his first clear, if he's going to think about moving towards that bot side. There is no ward in that tri-bush there, so he could maybe put a little bit of pressure down. He also has the ability to go mid if he pleases, though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that Jarvan backed after completing his blue side, and he bought the other half of the jungle item, so has a lot more sustain for his clear now. And you know, he has one less camp than Olaf and will lose this Scuttle Crab, but he will be in the vicinity if he decides to try and go for a counter gank. As you see the pings come out, he's telling his team, hey, Olaf can be at that Scuttle Crab right now, so be careful, don't push up, keep the wave where it is. And Jarvan will get this, but Olaf coming in for a little bit of an invade, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard for Pre-6 Olaf to gank someone like Zyra there. He's going to go mid, though, which is a really good choice. They actually went and engaged that one. He gets a little bit of damage down, but not a lot. A flash burn there by Pumples.
And, you know, directed camera loves top lane, so whenever Ornn lands his E and knocks the Scion up into the air, even though we know they're not going to die, directed camera is like, hello, look at this action in the top lane.
Jungle 1v1 right now. This should be a win for Very Sad Avarice, as Puffles is actually also there for some damage. But look, the Ornn roaming down.
Hibernation.
Sushi Killer is in a terrible spot. First blood picked up by Avarice.
Yeah, just fantastic rotations. But there's the power of Caitlyn Morgana.
Castform just got caught there, and there was nothing else he could have done but get Punk's heal. That's super, super low Zyra there.
But yeah, you know, that is early game jungling is you can be completely messed with by the enemy laners if they're rotating over like they were able to. Hibernation was able to freely come down from the top lane. Sure, he's down some CS, but now he has an assist to his name, so that should keep the gold lead pretty even though he's down some CS here. And, you know, getting first blood in the pocket of the Jarvan, especially killing the Olaf, delaying his early game, and you see he bought a Ruby Crystal, so likely going for Cinderhulk instead of the Warrior that we do see a lot of people take on the Olaf when things get going in the early game. So just that one little bit of rotation has slowed down this Olaf's early game immensely and has opened the door for Dynasty to really start to push what advantages they can bring.
Yeah, the Cinder Hulk will help you farm faster just because of that Bomby Cinder burn that you get on the jungle camps, but it's really not going to help you when it comes to ganking, especially when you try and go to kill, for example, a Ornn. But I don't know if you're really going to spend too much time top lane. Maybe it's something you don't need to worry about, but maybe it is. Maybe he won't have enough damage next time he goes for a gank. So it is going to be interesting to see if Sushi Killa made the right choice here, or if this is actually going to come back to bite him.
Yeah, I mean, I know I would prefer having the warrior enchantment over the 10 magic damage out of Bomby Cinder, but you know, he recognized that, hey, my early game got shut down. It's going to be rough for me. I need to just go Cinderhulk. But lots of pings down towards the dragon as very sad Avarice was positioning himself around the dragon.
Just getting some vision down. The Morgana is certainly enough of a threat of a pick at this point in the game that you definitely don't want to go anywhere near her. And just destroying that vision goes Illinois right now to get some back for themselves. Olaf can take Dragon pretty much right now very easily early game because he can just he can just grab his axe and just keep resetting it. Gasform got a nice pick there. Not a lot of damage dealt though.
Yeah, and both junglers could actually solo the dragon at this point in the game if they were both left completely undisturbed. It's just that's the thing is they both have to be left alone. If the other jungler shows up or one of the supports roams up, makes things pretty tricky. As Sushi Kill looking for more invade, but you know Jarvan has that kill on him, has the completed Bomby Cinder compared to just the Ruby Crystal. Plus Puffles was there just to make sure that nothing crazy happened. So Olaf being just kind of denied his early game thus far in this game.
Well, I find it questionable why actually he decided to go. Avarice decided to go for the Cinderhulk Jarvan. I mean, the dude got first blood as well, so he just in general was planning on building the Cinderhulk all along. He wanted to be an extra tank for his team. He has no plan to be the damage dealer. And I mean, why bother when you have all this damage in your comp and you're the source, you're the part of the Wombo combo that just jumps in with your Cataclysm and stays there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's something that you can do in the early game is just go warrior and still build like Black Cleaver and then tank items is kind of a half and half hybrid build if you really want to push your early game advantage. But look at that damage coming out of the Zyra.
That was a terrific route onto 2 there, and there's the Olaf with the Azir's help taking down that first Ocean Dragon. It goes over to Illinois.
Yeah, and you know, you want the Ocean Dragon as early as possible, so you will see some people prioritize it as early as 5 or 6 minutes in. 8 minutes is a little bit later, but still, having an Ocean Drake, especially against a lane like either of these bottom lanes, really, having an Ocean Drake on your side will help you with the regen. As you see, Castform just getting almost killed, and that's just the power of Caitlyn Morgana is even from that far away, they can still take half of Castform's health bar.
Yeah, that was crazy. And now with level 6 available on this Caitlyn, it's only going to get more difficult. If you get caught, you're just going to be in a terrible spot. And maybe it might be time to call Jarvan over here. He's actually taking those Krugs right now, and he might make a roam over to the top side here. But I don't think you want to dive a Scion at full health.
No, that's very low on the list of things that you would probably want to be doing here. And I'm actually interested that the junglers aren't just hovering bottom, considering that the matchup could have been swayed big time. And you see the plates being already taken down by the Caitlyn and the Morgana. And, you know, it's something that if Jarvan was there just to force them back, could have been prevented. Instead, he decides to go top and counter jungle, take the Krugs away from Olaf, and the Krugs are the most worth experience-wise camp. So, you know, just kind of, it's interesting to see what these two teams prioritize in terms of
Oh,
objectives.
Pie Master. That was a genius play by Pie Master, waiting in the bush. Featherstorm comes out, but he's still binded and still taken down. Wakanari's going to go down in the process, but here's
Olaf.
Olaf as cast form certainly is not going to last too much longer. Challenging Smite is down. Puffles actually makes his way over. One more axe should do the trick. Sushi Killer picks it up. Zaker actually teleported. Avarice wants to go for it. Goes for the dunk. Trying to take out Pie Master.
Shockwave.
Too slow, and Avarice dies as well. Zaker is super low. The double kill come out for Sushi Maker. And now Puffles goes in to get one last one. But is there going to be an escape here? Barely slows down. Zaker is going to get chased down by
here.
I think Puffles, if he can play this properly, might be able to make it over to Ornn, and he does. Hibernation now thinking about going for this one. Why not? He's super strong, and Puffles can definitely help this out. Just walk around the wall. Damage being dealt. Goes back in as Dandito trying to find it. Hibernation is still low, and he's out. He saves his mid laner, but he gets taken down in the process, and a wild fight all over.
I think they probably could have just straight up walked away if they really wanted to. Decided to try and find that last kill on Azir, which they would have had the damage to do had Azir not, shuffled his way on out of there. But in the end, they end up paying for it by giving the Azir the kill and the double buffs. Yeah, he got the double buffs out of that too. So, this Azir already has Nashor's Tooth completed at the same time Orianna has her Luden's Echo. So Azir not that far behind, only down 11 CS, even in kills, only 2 more assists to Orianna's name, which, it is a 500 gold lead right now, but in the grand scheme of things, that's not a whole lot considering the scaling potential of Azir.
And right up to that Rift Herald was very sad Avarice, soloing that one while he knew the Olaf was dead, because the Olaf died a little bit later in that fight.
Oh.
Pie Master just gets taken down. A straight up outplay, and Punk with all the damage right now goes for the Featherstorm, misses it. Walking away, gets rooted, and the double kill comes out.
And like we said, this bottom lane matchup can go either way. Whichever one of these bottom lanes gets the edge on the other can just really take complete advantage of it. You saw that Caitlyn went in, landed a trap on the cast form, but took a whole lot of damage and got rooted in return. The Zyra ultimate completely destroyed the Black Shield. Caitlyn got taken down by Punk, and now Morgana was in a bad spot and got rooted up again, but here comes Sushi Killer, lands the slow.
Barely gets that slow. Ragnarok's in, looking for 2 kills, and it shouldn't be too hard to get it. The teleport, hold on, Punk! Oh my goodness! Just right there in the last second, Sushi Killer picks it up. The teleport still did come out from the Azir, and they say, why don't we just rotate gank this? Everybody come gank mid now.
Yeah, and that's one thing about Olaf. Even when he goes Cinderhulk, his base damages are still very good. He has the true damage on his E, and his Reckless Swing just does a lot. And, as an AD carry, you can do a lot of damage to him, but he's going to be doing it right on back to you. And at this point in the game, it's enough to land a kill.
Hibernation has just bullied Zaker here and there in this lane, leading in CS as well. And he's pretty much just had this top side to himself. He did, both Zaker and Hibernation did teleport in that bot lane fight. Zaker got involved more. Hibernation died without even getting an assist. So that was definitely, other way around. And so it's definitely been a rough matchup so far for Zaker.
Yeah, I do want to give Sushi Killer props for pulling back this later stage of the early game, transitioning into the mid game. He has 4 kills all of a sudden after getting killed for that first blood and losing the pre-6 early game to very sad Avarice. He's done a lot since then and made a lot of things happen.
Interesting thing here is Avarice not going to give this blue buff over? All right, never mind. Oh, wait, no, he took it. Avarice took the blue buff. I don't think he meant to do that. I mean, Puffles was walking over. It was like, hey, man, can I have it? And then he just auto-attacks it. That actually really hurts Orianna, because Orianna's entire point, the reason why Orianna farms so well is because she can just spam all her spells. But you can't do that without a blue buff.
You can't. You just go really quickly. And Azir doesn't need a ton of mana to clear the wave. Maybe throw out a soldier or 2 and use a Q once and the whole wave's gone.
Yeah.
And with that Nashor's Tooth, you can even just sit there and auto a wave and get through it pretty quickly comparatively to Orianna sitting there autoing. But yeah, kind of interesting. Maybe he's like, hey, Olaf's starting to get going. I need this just for experience, just to keep my levels going so I don't fall too far behind in levels. but he's going on in for a counter, but Zaker's on the wrong side of these two.
Walkanari's not spotted right now. Now he is. Nice job there. The Rift Herald actually gets popped off. Why not just take the tower? Was that an accident? Did he mean to ward? I think he meant to ward. You wouldn't pop a Rift Herald next to a Scion. He would interrupt it. I think he was trying to ward.
Well, he has the sweeper, so maybe he was trying to sweep to see if Zaker knew that he was there or not.
I'm so confused right now. I think that's what happened.
Either way, they will get the tower out of it.
Puffle shockwaves Bandito back in, but he doesn't take tower shots. That was Puffle's goal there.
Yeah, minions were still there, so... You know, it's not the end of the world. They've lowered Shockwave's cooldown by a lot. It used to be a lot longer, so not the end of the world for Puffles to use it like that. Especially with the buffs, the chunk damage that can be put down just to force someone out of lane is very good as well.
You saw Castform actually burn his flash just to try and get a root that ended up getting black shielded. That's another thing that's just frustrating when it comes to playing against Morgana, who will flash it in, and ulti gets the bind onto Castform. Oh, the strength before it turned the fight around, though. Castform is down. Piemaster versus Punk.
Those
Punk
flashes.
did not get the call back on the feathers, and Piemaster wins. Avarice is there to clean it up as well.
That's always a fun little mind game when Xayah uses the Feather Storm like that, when the feathers aren't just lined up correctly, as we see more coming out, but nothing too major going to come out of it, is if Xayah E-flashes and roots you, and if you don't have flash to respond, you're going to get rooted and probably die. But Piemaster also had his flash and made fantastic use of it to pick up the kill on Punk. Thankfully, very sad Avarice was there to pick up the kill onto Piemaster, but it's just fun to see those mechanical things go down where they're like, hey, you know I've got feathers, you know I'm going to flash, can you flash to match it? And in that situation, Piemaster did.
I tell you what, there's a huge lead in the top lane. And Iceborne Gauntlet is almost done for Hibernation, and there's only just the Abyssal Mask right now on Zaker. Now, I do like the choice of the Abyssal Mask. I think that's really going to help in the late game with the Orianna and Zyra damage, but otherwise, he's not as tanky as he possibly could be.
Well, Ornn has the kill and the 3 assists on him, which is amounting to about a 1,200 gold lead for himself. And yeah, he'll have Sunfire Cape and Iceborne Gauntlet done by the time Sion's getting pieces of his second item. So definitely a big lead in the tankiness department here for Hibernation. And probably in the damage too, as the percent health damage on his Bellows Breath is really strong. But here's Wakanari.
Nice dodge of the binding. Hibernation will get out just fine. Burning his flash though. Piemaster Shockwave makes it happen, and down goes the Caitlyn.
Yeah, and you know, the Shockwave's on that low cooldown. Him using it against the Azir there, it's back up in time for a situation like that. And now they're going to transition this into the mid lane tower, which will open up the map for the side of Dynasty.
Another tower taken down there. Dynasty up 2-1 now in that regard. Dragon will be spawning in about a minute or so. That will be something to look at as well. But it might just be back. Get ready. Come back for this Dragon. This Cloud Drake actually does really help this composition, especially with Zyra, Ornn, and Jarvan all together.
Not only that, but it will even up the Cloud Drake, so that way there's not a crazy speed advantage one way or the other. But the side of Illinois Academy are on it now, so it looks like they're just going to get it, and Dynasty's just going to have to do without it.
Yeah, there's no contesting whatsoever done without Jarvan. They are going to scout this one out just to see if it's being done, but way too fast, and it really just came down to Dynasty backing and didn't expect Illinois to jump right on it.
Yeah, good job for them just to group up, make sure they got it. So that will keep a speed advantage for them through that Cloud Drake, even if another one will spawn before the Elder. And, you know, there's no way for Dynasty to match those stats coming in now, so good on them to get that going into, you know, they're down 2,000 gold right now, but they do have a bit of a scaling advantage in the Azir with the range that they have later on. So that's their game plan right now, is to just let Azir get to those item breakpoints that he needs in order to take over the game. Same with Caitlyn. As you see, he has another Crit Cloak, which is a build that a lot of AD carries have been doing here just to get some early crit chance going on, because, you know, Infinity Edge on its own only gives 25, whereas Crit Cloak gives 20 on its own. So you'll likely see him hold on to this crit cloak for a long time. He might not even end up getting the Essence Reaver that it would otherwise eventually build into. He just wants it just for the crit chance, so that way he can make every single auto worth it early on in the game.
Absolutely, especially as we're getting to that point of the game where Caitlyn's going to fall off just a tad bit. And then when we turn around to late game, she'll be a lot stronger again. The gold is still pretty even. No team has truly broken away yet. But most fights we've seen have been in favor of Dynasty. And we'll see if that continues to be a repeating pattern. It's all about where the fights end up. Sushi Killer and Sad Avarice in a 1v1 right now. Sushi can definitely close the gap, but he misses the axe. Wakanari's going to come in with the ultimate, though. Call the Forge God to try and counter that one. Shockwave, Strangled Thorns, and the Cataclysm all on top of one another. That is the combo we talked about in Champion Select, and they pull it off flawlessly. 2 kills picked up for Dynasty.
The only thing that didn't happen is the Call of the Forge God, the return, or the headbutt on it got canceled by Zaker down there. He must have landed a Q knockup onto Hibernation or something, or forced him away from it. But even without that extra knockup and that extra damage, they were still able to find those kills like they wanted. And a great flash from Puffles.
That was beautiful by Puffles. This turret should be going down here in the bot lane. Zaker can't really do a lot about it. Never mind, he clears the minions. Good job, Zaker.
Yeah, his knockup was just going to hit that cannon and force it low, and, you know, no reason to sit there and try to die for it when they just pulled off a good play to pick up 2 kills for themselves. And, you know, this is what you need to do when you find those picks like that, is try to push your advantage however you are able to, because if you just get the kills and back off, you're not actually accomplishing anything. And that's something that happens a lot in solo queue, is teams will pick up some kills and just immediately back without pushing, at least pushing the waves up or anything, or even getting damage on a tower, getting deep vision. They just kind of do nothing. And that's the difference between competitive play and these guys in the UCL.
Baron Vision put down. And it's really that kind of the time where it's going to come down to Illinois is going to need to do whatever they can to not die so that this Baron cannot be taken. That's really where a huge gap in this game can occur. Also, they can't get caught off guard by that Wombo combo. Now, they were lucky to only have 2 players involved in that fight, but imagine if all 5 were there. It's really, I think, a matter of getting as spread out as you possibly can to make sure not too many people are caught in it, and maybe hope that the only people that are caught in it are your 2 tanks.
Yeah, and it looks like this Jarvan is going that like supportish tank jungler build, as he's picked up the Knight's Vow here. He has an Aegis as well, but it looks like that will turn into Locket instead of Zeke's Harbinger, because he's not going for the Glacial Shroud part of that. So he's just straight up utility, lock you in my old Jarvan. He is not out here to do any damage. He's there to knock up people with his EQ combo and hold them into Cataclysm and let the rest of his team kill them around him.
I actually really like that, though. I mean, he clearly knows what his job is, and he clearly knows what he wants, what his team needs to do. Cast Form is so dead right now. Gets caught. Strangled Thorns is not going to stop you from a Ragnarocking Olaf. Cast Form flashes away, flash forward, kill picked up. A turret actually was taken by minions in the process, and now they want to fight this one. Wakanari's already down. Punk trying to get the damage. The Call of the Forge God is there, but a double kill already.
Oh, that Shockwave!
Shockwave Cataclysm combo. Now it's time to turn it around, as Punk does so much, but Piemaster's still alive. Piemaster ace and hole onto the Orianna, finishing him off, but Taker is in a really bad spot. Sad Avarice and Punk
cancel
are
the
able to clean the rest of this up. A triple kill for Punk. Lots of damage done by Piemaster, who's able to turn this one around on the back end. And it was a 4-for-3 trade, but Dynasty comes out on top.
Yeah, and you see just how much damage that Caitlyn can do with that extra crit chance here. Got that crit headshot because Punk stepped on that trap. It almost finished him off. I think that Knight's Vow damage reduction is actually what saved Punk there. Otherwise, he would have went down as well. But another fantastic Shockwave Cataclysm combo from Puffles and Sad Avarice just means that anytime Illinois does anything, they always have to be careful of where they're positioned. And that can put a big strain on the comms and the communication, because everyone is so worried about getting caught out by the Wombo that they end up misstepping in other ways too. So something to just keep an eye on.
Well, if you're smart right now, and if you're Illinois, you know Cataclysm's down for another 30 seconds. So if I'm you, I'm actually trying to burst this dragon down and find something. Hibernation is not the one you want to bind there. They're not going to look for it quite yet. The Shockwave is back up, however.
Yeah, Black Shield is down now as well. Call the Forge God almost back up. We'll see. They're fishing for an engage. We'll see if they can actually find an angle or not.
They're going to start it up. It might be something that Sad Avarice might want to steal. The rest of the team can certainly back him up
Here
if he
comes
wants to go
Call
for
Forge
it.
God.
The Forge God's out. They're going to look for it. Avarice is in. Who's going to pick up the dragon? It's going to be Avarice who finds the dragon. Now it's a matter of the fight. Zaker has to flash back out. Sad Avarice is super low. Sushi Killer already picked up Hibernation, and Avarice is going to be too low to get a Cataclysm off this time. Sushi Killer just getting a little bit low. The Featherstorm comes out. Ace in the hole out just for some extra damage. And it's just the one member Hibernation found, but Dragon secured by Dynasty.
And you see the range difference there during that fight. Puffles and Punk couldn't actually join that fight. There's just a lot of weird positioning going around the Dragon Pit looking for things, and Shockwave will get a Black Shield, but that's about it. But that could become an issue later on, is the Azir and Caitlyn have such a big range advantage over the Orianna and Xayah that they have to find a good opportunity to actually be able to deal damage in these fights. So if the full-on engage doesn't happen, it makes it really hard for Dynasty to win a front-to-back team fight.
Absolutely. And you know, the other thing to look at is the fact that all of the kills in these fights are being picked up by your tank Olaf Sushi Killer. And that's really hurting because Olaf in the late game is just a glorified tank. He's not going to do a lot more. And that really hurts when you don't have your kills on your Azir or your Caitlyn. Sushi Killer has been picking up a lot of the kills in these fights. And it's because simply he's the only one that can really get to people and stay safe. That's why.
Yeah, he did buy a Black Cleaver though, so he will be doing some amount of damage, you know. Having just Black Cleaver as your only damage item isn't a ton of damage, but we saw early on that he can, if he's left alone with any of the squishy members of Dynasty, he will eventually kill them. It's just a matter of him finding the correct position, because he has died 4 times and has found himself in some tricky spots for him to not be able to get out of, and that's just the power of the Cataclysm, is its terrain. We don't have a lot of abilities in League of Legends anymore that create terrain, and none that create terrain in a way like the Cataclysm. You know, Hextech Ultimatum from Camille does its own sort of kind of technically terrain, but it's just not the same as just bam, we're in an arena, there's walls around you, come on, fight me.
Yeah, and Sushi Killer actually picked up a Righteous Glory, so he's looking to be a really big point of engage for his team. Just be as fast as possible going in and getting those slows, and maybe trying to target that back line, maybe before even a Shockwave can come out if you can catch out that Orianna.
And Dynasty is looking for an engage here as they have all 5 members up here while Zaker is pushing in the bottom lane for Illinois. So they're just going to walk on up on this mid tower and take it down. But, you know, now with Zaker also pressuring their bottom lane tower, they need to make a decision here of whether to try and bait Baron one last time, because Sion does have teleport. They can try to burn that teleport and gain themselves a TP advantage when Hibernations comes up. But you see him walking down to the bottom lane, and a Shockwave does come out though.
You know, Caught flashes out. They are going to be able to get the wall up. The Stranglethorns doesn't do a lot in a best case scenario. Sushi Killer still alive, just barely. Everybody survives. That was huge. Neither top laner joined that fight. Zaker did not teleport. Ace in the hole came out. Puffles picks up Wakanari. That's just one, though. Hibernation chasing Zaker right now, making sure he does not try and teleport. And they're going to keep pushing up. Dynasty over in that mid lane are going to keep going for it.
Yep, they'll take down the Azir tower.
Cataclysm still up.
Yeah, Shockwave's almost back up, and he's using Call of the Forge God actually as well, which forces out his own ultimate.
That's big. It, however, does let Zaker join his team. And they're actually going to continue this push in the bot lane, make the rotation over. And just over and over again, we've seen in this game, 1 or 2 kills is picked up every single fight, and these teams still stay so close together. They're playing these fights perfectly.
Yeah, they understand what their comps are designed to do and what they need to do to succeed, and both these teams playing towards their win conditions very well. Piemaster actually did pick up the Essence Reaver, fully purchasing that out, so doing a bit of a like a Sivir-ish type build, where you, or some people do it on Xayah as well, where you don't actually buy the Zeal item till later, just relying on, you know, Xayah and Sivir have attack speed steroids with their Ws, but Caitlyn does not. Caitlyn's base attack speed is like the worst out of marksman.
Yeah.
So her having more AD and more crit just means that every auto attack does more damage and has better chance to crit. but she will soon have more items and will soon be at that 100% crit threshold. She just picked up the rapid fire cannon now, and let the Baron dance begin.
You know, one of the most underrated aspects of Ornn is the upgraded items, and because Puffles knows that his Shockwave is like the sole source of damage in teamfights, he actually already picked up a Death Crown, which is going to be huge as he gets more AP to make that just better and better and better, and he's going to be huge. They're actually going to start the Baron here trying to bait it. Dandito just went back, but he does have teleports. And Sushi Killer is already thinking about going right in on this one. He doesn't like the idea here.
Ragnarok's down.
Out.
Oh, that knockup!
Spread out really, really well. Trying to find something. Stranglethorns on Dandito, who goes in and gets destroyed. Punk takes him out. There is the Cataclysm. Where's the Shockwave? It's on no one, but Hibernation's already taken down. Wakanari, Saker, Sushi Killer all rooted up right now. Pie Master trying to clean it up. Everybody flashes away. Hibernation right into the wall. Health bars are low, but they might still try this Baron anyway. Another really, really close fight.
Yeah, and they're going to go right back to the Baron. We saw the call. The Forge God got interrupted by Zaker, and they're teleporting back on in, looking for more.
Zaker's full health. He teleported from base. He has home guards as well, and that's enough to zone everybody away. So just a 4,000 gold lead and still no Baron 30 minutes in.
Yeah, and that fight could have been big for either side. Dandito went in and didn't actually pick up the kill on the Castform or anyone else. Actually had just kind of went down because Castform has the Zhonya's Hourglass fully complete. It's actually been upgraded by Ornn to the Zhonya's Paradox as well. So a lot of survivability coming out of Castform. He understands that once he uses his abilities and is in the middle of the fight, he's just kind of a sitting duck. So he baited Dandito in to actually die. So you know, he's got to watch out for that. Dandito has to realize that he is a big source of his team's DPS as another Ocean Drake will go down. And Dandito needs to stay alive and make sure that when he dashes in, it is at the correct time and he makes the most out of it. And I think he probably shouldn't be looking for a single pick with his abilities because he's just worth so much as a DPS threat as well.
I tell you what, something you can really applaud Illinois Academy is the fact that they have had amazing dragon control all game long. They lost one to a steal, and that's it. They would have 5 dragons right now otherwise.
Yeah, and that just means that the threat of the Elder Drake going down is big, and here comes Ragnarok. Castform's in trouble.
Is that the pick you really want, though? Ragnarok is out. Call of the Forge God. Wakanari's actually super caught. Nice dodge there. The Azir is going to help everybody disengage, but that's a lot of low health bars right now around a Baron. Sushi Killer is definitely not going back. Wakanari is, though.
Oh, it's no! Force the Zhonya's.
Just back to this mid push, work around Baron, try and get vision every time you can, and it's just going to be the slow game right now. Who can find a pick? If you find a pick, is it really worth it? Sushi Killer decided to go in for that Zyra on that pick. I don't know if it was really the greatest use of resources, but they didn't burn any ults other than the Ace in the Hole and the Ragnarok, so that's something they can definitely get over even if they didn't get it.
Yeah, they burned Castform's Flash too, and now Wakanari did pick up his own Zhonya's Hourglass, so the threat of the Zhonya Soul Shackles is available now for Illinois Academy. And, you know, one thing that Illinois Academy has been very, very good at is making sure that these Call of the Forge Gods don't go off. You know, he's been getting knocked around by different people to where he cannot reactivate it, or they spread out and get far enough away to where he's only able to try and hit one person or the other. And they just need to pilot those fights that well against this team comp. Otherwise, they're going to get caught up in the CC, get hit by a big shockwave, and all the Xayah feathers are going to finish them off. So hats off to Illinois for playing through these team fights so far.
Buffalo's thinking about it. Nope, not going to go for the shockwave on tanks there. You know, you look at the tank difference for these teams. There is a 3-item Ornn against a 2-item Scion. However,
but
the Jarvan
does have the stone plate. So he will have a lot more HP to burn through in an actual fight once he pops that. But the Ornn will do a lot more for his team, I feel.
Another Call of the Forge gun out. They do find Pie Master. They jump in on him, but he's still alive for now. Pie Master able to ace or Caliburnet out of that one right now. And Zaker right in the middle. The shockwave. Sushi Killer is in the GA right now. Zaker gets taken down. Punk gets that kill. The Azir also taken down in the process. Zaker trying to find somebody. Puffles. That ace in the hole gets blocked. Piemaster looking for more kills.
Oh, the
Hibernation doing a
knockup!
lot of damage. Gets the knockup. Goes in. Finds a kill. Sushi Killer is also down. And now one more left as they take down Wakanari. They find the first ace of the game. And they're going to march their way all the way into the base.
Yeah, they could try to end here if they can let these minions
Only 3
survive.
minions.
But one of them is a cannon minion, so they might actually be able to end the game here. But a fantastic fight. Like I said, the Ornn at this point in the game, way more valuable to his team than the Sion. He proved it. He picked himself up a double kill, threatened the Caitlyn that whole fight, whereas Sion went in and just got blown up. And they will pick up this game.
That is game number 1 for Dynasty Esports. Back and forth for a while, but they found the team fight when it mattered. And they'll take game number 1.
And that's just a fantastic example of baiting the Baron and forcing a team to be around them. You know, that fight wasn't in the Baron specifically, but just knowing that, hey, they keep pressuring this Baron. They have the Wombo combo comp. We have to try and do something to stop them. Force them to be close enough to the team where they could find that engage, to find that team fight to end the game. And, you know, Dynasty played to their team comp strengths incredibly well that whole game. Hibernation just throwing out Call of the Forge God pretty much whenever he was in a spot to do so. Forced a lot of decisions to come out of Illinois, and they made a lot of good decisions early on, and then they just found that one fight that ended the game.
And I think, honestly, that fight really didn't even come down to the Orianna. The Orianna Shockwave was actually on the tanks there, and it only popped the GA onto Sushi Killer, and that's all it really did. It was really the catches. Dandito actually died in that fight really early, and it's something that we didn't even end up seeing on the camera. So he must have once again went for a little bit of a greedy wall play to try and frontline, knock somebody out of their back line, and it didn't really work out very well for him. And he definitely was a factor of a lot of their lost fights where he just got a little bit too greedy for a kill.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of the story of when Illinois ended up making bad decisions. It's because they tried to do things that were a little bit too greedy. Like we were saying in the early game, they did a fantastic job. They did what they needed to do with the Caitlyn Morgana. They got plates going down. They got the tower. They rotated around and tried to do more. It's just the team comp coming out of Dynasty was very good at just the go button. They just had the go button, and they had multiple ways to make things happen, and it was really hard for Illinois to outplay it. So I'm interested to see what adaptations they'll make going into game 2.
Absolutely. Well, we will find out after a short break as the teams will switch sides, and we'll see if Dynasty Esports against Illinois will close out in 2 or if Illinois can force game 3. And we're live with Pick and Ban. These guys had some rapid fire bans last time around, and this has not changed whatsoever. The Oriana, however, Illinois is done dealing with.
Yeah, and I don't blame them. You know, you're always kind of walking on eggshells whenever the team comp is based around an Oriana because, you know, you can be winning a fight 1 second and the next second you forget that the shockwave's there and then boom, shockwave. And it just kind of makes Dynasty pick, you know, they can still run an engage heavy team comp, but it's not as simple as, hey, put ball on Jarvan. Jarvan, go kill. Me kill now.
Now, I'm going to run down Illinois' entire last champion select, and I want to ask you what you think is the most important to change because their comp obviously did not work out. So, Illinois ran Sion, Olaf, Azir, Caitlyn, and Morgana.
Out of that, it seems like, you know, watching the game, it just seemed like Sion was not a big enough frontline presence compared to the Ornn. And they have swapped out top laners. Dark Quacker will be playing top lane this game for Illinois Academy. So it'll get a different look in there. And Dark Quacker he does play Sion, but he also plays the more carry-oriented tops like Jax and Darius and Fiora, things like that, compared to Zaker, who's more of a Singed Yorick type of player.
Uh-huh.
But we see in the draft thus far, Illinois decided to stick with Caitlyn. They picked up Sejuani this time, who, you know, the Sejuani Jarvan matchup is something we saw in pro play pretty much all of summer split until just recently pros stopped playing Jarvan as much and have slowed down on the Sejuani picks a little bit. But going with Caitlyn, Sejuani, and Janna means they're just looking for just your standard find person, Sejuani ult them, everyone pile in and let's kill them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Morgana actually worked really well, but it's just something that Wakanari decided he didn't want to play again. Maybe they felt that lane, they definitely struggled a little bit. And I think also against Akaisa, going to be a little bit harder to lock her down. So Janna is just more of a safe pick, and that lane has just as much long-range poke. Also, Galio was banned away last time around, but it's available now for Puffles.
Yeah, and so Dynasty running a similar thing. Let's run Jarvan and then have Galio ult in onto the Jarvan instead of a Shockwave. You have the Galio ultimate. So, you know, similar stuff as we see Gangplank being banned away from Dark Quacker. He is a bit of a Gangplank player, and he's Grandmaster. So, you know, when good players play champions like Gangplank, you tend to want to take that away from them. And Illinois will ban the Ornn, so no more long-range Call the Forge God engages.
Yeah, that's actually huge to have that Ornn. I think Hibernation was so good on that Ornn. He was so pivotal, and he was their main source of engage. And if you take him off of that Ornn, what else is available for him? Illinois thinking about their last ban here. Do they want to remove something else that was a problem last game for them? I don't think there's really much left that they haven't banned already. I think the Oriana and the Ornn were both huge. So they'll just go for maybe another target ban with this Renekton, make it the Kled.
It looks like it was Kled there before Pro Draft decided to bug on out. They said it was Kled.
Yeah,
so
it was Kled. Okay.
Kled will be banned here. And yeah, I mean, what else did Dynasty play? They played Zyra and I forget what else. But you don't really need to ban Zyra. I mean, you could play Zyra and Janna if you want. It's not really the best. And they will pick up Nautilus instead, which is, you know, more engage. Yep. Dynasty loves to draft their engage, it seems. So they're just going all in. And Kaisa Nautilus is a fantastic lane. You know, you go in, you hook someone, you apply plasma. It just lets Kaisa do what she needs to do, get her passive proc, and once she's 6, it gives her killer instinct opportunities. Yep. And it's just more engaged to go with the team comp because, you know, Nautilus can go in and be the target for the Galio heroic entrance as well. And Echo being picked up is spicy here because, you know, just in a vacuum, Echo can go anywhere that isn't bot lane. And even some pro players are playing him as the bot lane carry as well. So he can go top, he can go mid, he can go jungle. We already have Sejuani picked, so unless that's Sejuani top, it's probably Echo mid.
I'm excited to see it. Darius, another one. So now we've got the Dunk Master alongside Echo, alongside Caitlyn, alongside Janna, alongside Sejuani, all together for Illinois. This comp, they have swapped top laners this time around, and maybe Dark Quacker on a carry this time around can make a difference. And I think Hibernation says, well, if you're going to play a carry, I want to as well, and this Akali could possibly get locked in.
Not only is Dark Quacker playing a carry, he is playing the champion he has played the most out of any champion by a wide margin. Season 6, he almost played 300 games on Darius. His next most played was Riven with 8. Season 7, over 350 games on Darius. His next was Jarvan with 14. Last season, he played over 350. His next most was San with 22. This season, he's only played 160, and he's played more Jax. He's played over 70 games on Jax, but Darius is this man's champion. So I'm excited to see what he can do with this champion. Picking Gnar into it is somewhat kind of a standard quote-unquote safe thing to do, but if Darius is able to interrupt Gnar's jump, Gnar will die.
This is an old school combo though people used to do all the time when Gnar first came out, is play him with Jarvan, because Jarvan gives him terrain to Gnar into, and it's so easy to Gnar people when you have stuff like Galio available as well that can just continue to lock down people with all the CC, with Nautilus as well that can continue to lock people down. Dynasties once again proving that, or not proving, Dynasties once again feeling like wombo combos are the best way to handle it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just kind of the easiest way to play League of Legends, is to just have a ton of engage and just throw out all your engage and just let the chips fall where they go after the engage. And you know, when you have good players like the players on Dynasty, it becomes really hard to play against it. We saw last game how many fights Illinois Academy barely squeaked out of by dodging out of all the engage, and they still couldn't make anything happen after those fights because they were either chunked or 1 or 2 people died. And it's just so hard to play into a death ball engage at you comp. You got to find a way around it, and Illinois has a bit of a 1-3-1 here, and that's one way to play around the death ball, is by spreading out across the map.
I have come back stronger.
And I think the biggest thing here is how well the Darius does. Is Sejuani going to be able to put enough pressure on this Gnar for Darius to carry? Darius, if he gets fed, I mean, he dunks on everybody. There's really no escape from a Darius whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you're Nautilus. It doesn't matter if you're full tank Jarvan. It doesn't matter if you're Mega Gnar. You're going to die.
Yeah, and people talk about how Irelia Sejuani is a great 2v2 because Irelia's melee and can stack the Sejuani passive. Well, Darius can do the same, has a pull of his own, has a big slow on his W to help stack as well. And, you know, if Sejuani Darius ganks you, you just need to get out of there, because if you get hit by something, you're probably going to die. Absolutely. And, you know, Echo's melee too, so it does provide opportunities for Sejuani in the mid lane as well, although taking down a Galio as people who deal magic damage is not exactly the easiest of tasks, but it is possible.
I think overall, the top lane is going to be huge for Illinois. I think Illinois cannot ignore the top lane. I think Illinois cannot leave the top laners on an island like they did last time. All right. Hibernation won last time because Sion got zero help whatsoever. There was never even a thought about ganking that Ornn, and that hurt him a lot. Even after the bot tower went down, there was no lane swaps to try and slow down the Ornn. It just didn't happen. Now you've swapped top laners. Dark Quacker's in. You've got him on a carry. I think it's time to get the focus up near the top side. Caitlyn and Janna can farm as much as they want alone, and Echo and Galio is a fairly even matchup. I think you've got to put as much pressure up top, at least enough to get your top laner in a position where he can carry, where he can do everything himself.
And I think that's just the game plan for both junglers, is to be topside, because if you're on the side of Dynasty, you probably looked at the OPGG more than I did, and you can see plain as day that Dark Quacker plays a ton of Darius. And so you got to find a way. And what's Darius's traditional weakness is being ganked. So I think we're definitely going to see a lot of action up in this top lane.
Especially at level 6, it only gets easier. Jarvan all he has to do is ult, and then Gnar just jumps in and presses R as well, and then it's just easy game.
And Galio can join the party too.
Absolutely. So I do want to give a chance to talk to you guys about Midwest Esports. You see, Midwest Esports has been around for many years, starting as a small student group out of Wichita State University, and since then, Midwest has grown to be a veteran organizer to tournaments and events through the U.S. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, as well as Overwatch. If you want more information, please check them out at midwestesports.com. With that, we're going to take another short break, and we'll be back with the start of the game. And we're back. Game 2 between Dynasty and Illinois. Dynasty picking up that Game 1 victory. And now it's time for Illinois to answer and try and send this to a Game 3. They've got the Darius. They are ready to go. They've got a brand new game plan. And once again, they're going to go for this anti-invade strategy. Spread everybody out. And it looks like Dynasty's going to do the same thing. I'm actually surprised, though. Nautilus is like one of the best level 1 champions out there.
30 seconds.
Yeah, well, they invaded last game, and, you know, unless you have something really spicy planned, like you want to try and be up top lane and hide in their bush or something, they're probably going to be on the lookout for an invade, especially when you draft something like the Nautilus or a Blitzcrank or a Pike or whatever. So, just pretty standard to get a boomerang thrown at you.
He did start triple rejuvenation beads, actually, which is ability you see sometimes on Darius.
Yeah, he's full health already.
Yeah, it's perfect, right? All you just need is a couple ocean dragons. But another thing that really helps with is it actually lets you rush your Tiamat as well.
Yeah, I don't know about rushing Tiamat on Darius. He does enough wave clearing on his own. Generally, you see the Trinity Force or a Black Cleaver or something.
All right, how much do you want to bet he rushes Tiamat?
I don't know. I mean, he might. He's the Darius one trick here, not me. All right.
A couple of missed CS for Puffles early on. That's rough. Oh, he missed another one. Poor Puffles.
It's all right. He'll be fine. Galio pretty much auto clears waves later on.
Bandito and Puffles are definitely going to have multiple different exchanges here in this lane. Almost lands the dredge line. There goes cast form. Wakanari on the Janna this time is just really, really safe into the Nautilus, which is really helpful. And Puffles getting that early level 2, getting a lot of damage now.
And one thing we noticed, we kind of figured that Dark Quacker would have, you know, over 1 million mastery points on Darius because of all the games he's played. But it turns out Wakanari also has over 1 million mastery points on the Janna. So someone very familiar with the champion that you don't see a ton of in competitive play.
Absolutely. We look at a little bit of a roam right now from Puffles over to that blue buff, getting that ward down, which will help Sad Avarice go for an invade if he pleases. He is back in base, but if the Sedge decides to use a little bit of a different path and not pick up that blue, that could be something that Avarice goes in and gets.
I'm really interested in Sad Avarice's Jarvan pass. He's done it both games now where he clears blue side, backs, and then goes in for his red side.
He gets the machete again, just like last time, and it lets him farm a lot when he has both of those items. It actually kind of reminds me of when people back in the day used to get Spirit Stone and then just sit on it back in like Season 4, because it just healed you up so much. Like, that was great. That's
Mad Stone. Trick 2G Mad Stone. You get the Madrids and the Spirit Stone, and you just sit in the jungle forever because you don't take damage from the jungle. Those were interesting days.
I miss the old jungle sometimes. Dark Quacker gets a nice pull.
Oh, those pulls. See,
nice jump away by Hibernation.
You can tell he's a very well-versed Darius player because he knows the exact range of his pull. And here he goes collapsing in.
That blue. He went in there and got it. The vision control made it happen. And the Sejuani did not. No, wait. The Sejuani has the blue. Okay, I take that back. That's Sad Avarice's own blue. Everything was fine.
No, a good collapse from Dark Quacker. He had the wave in a spot where he could go down and try to answer and force Sad Avarice out. And, you know, that's all he needed.
Kaisa Nautilus struggling a little bit in the early phases here against that Caitlyn, but should be able to have really good follow-up to any gank that happens. Dark Quacker once again did land the Decimate that time. And onto Puffles right now. Is this the target you want to go for? Justice Punch, great job blocking. He gets the E perfectly placed, but Puffles just a flash burned and will stay alive there in the mid lane.
And that is always a gamble when you try to Justice Punch as an escape, especially against someone melee ganking you, is that they can always just eat it and force you back farther than you actually started in that case. Forced his flash out. So he's gonna be down that summoner spell for 5 minutes now, and he's got to be on the lookout because Sushi Kill can always just come right back. And only having the Justice Punch as your escape, it's very linear and very easy to play around.
Walkinari gets caught. Nice Howling Gale's going to keep
Dark
everybody
Quacker's
away.
in trouble.
Quacker taking a lot of damage. Hibernation goes in. Oh, he leveled up! But it didn't matter. First Blood still came out. Teleport to the top lane means Hibernation needs to get out of there. The Echo's going to try and look for the kill here as Piemaster and Walkinari still chasing this Jarvan down in the bottom lane. Cast Form levels up and should be safe, as is the Gnar. And it's just that First Blood in the top lane.
And that is the power of the Gnar. You know, he has that percentage health damage on the Hyper. The ranged form W just does that percent health magic damage, and it's really something that can poke people down. And then once he's Mega Gnar, he has, I believe, the highest base AD in the entire game. So very strong at fighting once that happens. Landed multiple stuns onto Dark Quacker, and you know, Dark Quacker landed the heal on the Decimate, but it just wasn't enough to keep him alive.
You know what? Dark Quacker has a Raptor Cloak.
Indeed he does. He might be going something crazy.
First item's Easy Rod, Ohm Wrecker. I think those are the only two items that build into...
Someone call Magical. We got ourselves an Ohm Wrecker.
It's time. Sushi Killer here in the mid lane, trying to find something. Gets just a stack there on his W, but not going to go for more. But are you seriously... Is this a serious build? Like, does he actually think first item Ohm Wrecker is good? He plays the champion more than I do.
It would probably be Easy Rod just for the resistances, but look at all this damage he's taking from the minions.
Still doesn't have 6. The Gnar into the wall. He found level 6. Perfect timing. Hibernation takes a lot of damage from that bleed. Quacker's trying to look for him. Does not have flash. Wants to find him. Has more movement speed because of the boots of speed coming up. Clutch gets the slow. The blast cone away. The bleed's there, but the health potion's going to keep Hibernation alive.
Wow, that was close. He was like 2 seconds away from having his apprehend back up. And
Avarice, buddy. You have smite? Okay.
Yeah, he's got smite. He's okay. But Gnar was super close to dying there. Just another second or two, and Darius would be able to pull him and finish the job. And that's kind of what happens when you go for stuff like this Raptor Cloak on Darius. You know, having the armor and the health regen is fantastic, but when it goes to time to all in, you don't have that AD backing your bleed and backing all your spells and autos, and it just makes it hard. But you know, I'm interested to see what he does, because he is the one who has over 1,000 Darius games played. So
he's going for the Ohm Wrecker. Raptor Cloak plus Kindle Gem makes it. He's got himself a Ruby Crystal as well. I'm so confused, but you know what? Just do it. Just do it. He can turn the tower off when he dives Gnar. Is that his idea?
Maybe. I mean, I would still hope he would have some AD to where he can actually do damage to Gnar when he tries to dive in.
I don't think he wins with Ohm Wrecker. We'll find out, I guess.
But I do think that Raptor Cloak is a very underrated item because it gives you the health regen and the armor. So it just kind of lets you chill in lane and sustain yourself back on up. But yeah, I don't know about the AD-less Darius, but we'll just have to wait and see. Because, you know, he's even in CS, so it's not like he's hard losing or anything.
No, definitely not. Gnar into the wall. Hibernation not taking tower shots, just slightly outside of it. Dark Quacker has no choice but to just take it. Really good trade by Hibernation. Flash and a dredge line and a Piemaster.
Here comes the heroic entrance.
Line, depth charge. Punk takes him down, and the Galio damage just barely comes in for the assist as well.
Yeah, I don't know if they still have it coded this way, but when they first took the damage reduction off of the heroic entrance, just casting it would still grant an assist. So I don't know if that is still in the game or not.
I wonder if he did damage then, because he did die so fast. That's what made me think he just did damage right at the right time.
Yeah, and remember, Kaisa passive does do execute damage, and with press the attack, that damage is amplified. But here comes the teleport. Here comes Quacker.
They're looking for it. Quacker, can he make a play here with his longsword that he actually has picked up? So he's gotten some damage. Great stun on the castle. He should definitely go down. Quacker dunks him to the ground, and they'll pick up 1 kill in the bot lane.
So with this longsword, now looking at a longsword and a ruby crystal in the inventory makes me think he's just going to go Black Cleaver and just sit on the Raptor Cloak for a while.
Sushi Killer. Oh no! The perfect timing. He couldn't flash out.
Man, that always feels really bad when the Jarvan Cataclysm acts like a Diana E and just sucks you right back on in.
Yeah. One of the best ones used to be, you can't do this anymore, they took it out of the game, but you used to be able to, if you timed it perfectly, it would follow a flash.
The Cataclysm?
Yes.
Yeah.
X
It also
Flash
worked
on the
with,
wall. I'm looking for a dredge line right now. Wakanari might be the target you want to look for.
Oh,
Doesn't
the juke!
find it, but gets the root with his passive, ignites down. That is the
Monsoon.
Monsoon trying to do some, but Punk goes right back in. That's what Kaisa does, looking for more. Highmaster getting a lot of return damage on the other end of this fight as well. He has ace in the hole. He's going to pop it, heal, gets burned.
Yeah, and that is one downside of Janna as a champion is she is just so squishy. Even with the shield and the Monsoon, she still just took a ton of damage there.
So you're right, Quacker is sitting on a Raptor Cloak for some reason.
There's Phage. Well,
And he's
because
getting
Raptor Cloak is a very efficient item and it gives him stats that he needs to go up against Gnar. He's probably going to be pushed in by Gnar, or if not, he's going to be chasing him near his tower, so he'll get the Point Runner passive for the movement speed. Otherwise, he has armor and health regen. So combine that with the other rejuvenation beads, and he'll sit there and he basically has health potions running the whole time. I don't know if it's quite that much, but it's kind of like he has health potions running the whole time. Like, look, after that trade, he's already full health again.
Yeah. And Quacker right now, honestly, does need to get a little bit more pressure in this lane for sure. We talked about junglers actually coming up and putting pressure on the top side. That hasn't happened, actually. It's been a little bit mid-focused and a lot bot-focused so far. And Dark Quacker's actually fallen significantly behind. He made a teleport play bottom lane, meanwhile Hibernation did not. So that alone sent him back even further.
Yep.
Buffles right here. Sushi Killa is going to
Oh,
get a nice
another
block
interrupt on the
that
Justice Punch.
Oh, hold on a second. Dredge line in from Castform. They're going to look for it. The Permafrost down. The two-man stun from the Echo. Perfectly timed with the Glacial Prison as well. Puffles flashes away. The Jarvan on his way back in. Castform is still low. Castform is taken down by Bandito, but Punk has made his way into this fight. Punk is looking to increase it. Puffles pops up around.
Oh, that damage!
Great job right there by Echo to get out of that fight.
Wow,
and now back onto Avarice they go. He gets permafrosted. He gets, he flashes over the wall, but the ace will finish the job. Meanwhile, Quacker, if he doesn't get a Q up, is done. He is down as well. Kills all over the map, 2 for 2 overall.
And one thing that was really underrated was Punk used that killer instinct not only to get out of the Cataclysm, but he also dodged a Piltover Peacemaker from Piemaster on the back end of that, so he kept himself alive there. But just the damage and that 2.25 second stun on the Echo Parallel Convergence now really came in clutch there. Held them up for a long time, allowed him to pump out that damage, and allowed, Punk came in, but it allowed the rest of Illinois Academy to come on in and finish the job.
Hibernation might be able to finish up this turret. He's going to definitely kill it as fast as he can, but Meganar is actually going to slow his progress down a little bit. I don't think he's really worried about it. He's ready to finish that turret. No,
yeah, he doesn't need to do it right now. He still has a minute, so he can build up another wave and try to kill Dark Quacker again. And even if not, he's still got 4 plates, and he's up, 1,300 gold on Dark Quacker right now, who is built a dagger going for this Trinity Force here.
Avarice, just with his pressure, is able to force the bot lane off of the turret right now, as he can help this team pick up another plate and a half there. Meanwhile, Dark Quacker still farming in that bot lane. He's building attack speed now. I am so confused.
He's going Trinity Force, remember? Stinger.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was thinking it was Black Cleaver. I got thrown off. Okay, that makes more sense. I'm okay with that. I got thrown off by the Raptor Cloak. It just tilted me.
Well, now he's got Ninja Tabby, he's got the Phage, he's building towards Trinity Force. The thing about Gnar, though, is that the percent health damage on Gnar is actually magic damage. So it makes it really hard to itemize correctly against Gnar, because, you want armor because the Q and his autos do a lot of damage, but you also need magic resistance because of his W. But then you need health, but then he does percent health damage. And when Gnar is strong, he's just one of the best top laners in the game.
Absolutely. And it's just a really, really good start so far for Hibernation. It might be one of those games where you consider going for double damage items. Maybe pick yourself up a Frozen Mallet. That would actually be super good against a composition that has champions like Darius, for example, that have a trouble escaping.
Yep.
And I think Quacker's really just got to be patient. The turret plates have fallen, so Hibernation did not finish that turret beforehand. And there's a lot of blue over here on this top side. They might try and find something.
Yeah, they're looking for it, but you know they're down a bit of gold, which is not the best, especially since Kaisa has 3 kills and she's the late game scaling champion here, and you want to have a lead on those type of champions. That way you can accomplish something before they get really strong. And once the Ginsu's Rage Blade is completed, is when Punk will have his first major power spike. And Caitlyn's going to go through that mid-game power trough around the same time that Kaisa's mid-game spike happens. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how Illinois Academy approaches this, because it kind of forces them to attempt to do a 1-3-1. Because, you know, Echo is relatively okay. He's 1-0-2. He's not fed, but he's not behind. And Dark Quacker's just having a rough time. He might do okay against the Galio, being able to not take all this sustained damage, because Hibernation's just going to dive him, I think. Oh.
Thought about it, was a little bit worried about the dunk, probably didn't have his jump up just yet. Meanwhile, over on this side of the map, possibly trying to get a catch, but Illinois are not able to find anything.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Turret down there in the bot side. Once again, we've seen just complete domination by Hibernation in the top lane in his lane phase. Quacker, however, is on a champion that can certainly come back and play hard. Although he did not get fed early as we possibly expected.
Yeah, he's getting close to Trinity Force, though. He has his Sheen completed now, too. So he's just the completion goal of Stinger plus 300 away. So not the end of the world. He's just not in the best of spots right now. But there's always time for him to come on back.
35 seconds left on the Infernal Dragon. Both teams desperately want this one, as they're all setting up vision here and there, trying to get positioning. Quacker is top lane right now with teleport.
They stopped their recalls,
Meanwhile,
though.
Hibernation is actually mid lane right now, so there is no interrupt to this Darius teleport. And while this is happening, he can just take that top tower if he pleases.
Yeah, he probably will, but it's a calculated trade. Since Illinois Academy got the first Infernal Drake, Dynasty really wants this one to make sure that they don't get 2. Plus, Kaisa gets double bonus from it since she has both AD and AP scaling, so increasing both of those stats, especially when she's going for this Manamune, Muramana, Ginsu's, probably going to go into Nashor's Tooth or Zanya's or Banshee's Veil. Getting as much scaling options as you can when you are the scaling team is the correct play here. And so them trading it, but here comes Quacker. He's teleporting in on the flank.
They might actually find that turret and that dragon if they can pull this off properly. It's all about trying to get this smite steal. It might just be a 50-50. Dandino's right in the middle. Does he want to be there? He chrono breaks right back out, and Avarice gets pushed down by the Caitlyn. Still looking for more. Quacker in the middle. Doesn't find any kills, and now it's all about Punk. How much damage can he do? They pull Sushi Killer back in. All onto 3. They get the combo with the heroic entrance down, and Punk is doing all the damage in the world. And all of a sudden, it's an ace for Dynasty.
And Hibernation and Punk came in clutch there. Hibernation got that 3-man Gnar into the edge of the wall there. Punk got himself a triple kill. Is now 6-0 on this Kaisa. And things just went from bad to worse for Illinois Academy, as now the hyper-scaling Kaisa has everything she could ever dream of right now.
In both games, it's always been the rest of the team is the utility and Punk is the breadwinner. He's the one who gets all the kills and all the gold, and everyone just sets him up for him. And we are just seeing a repeating process right here.
Yeah, and towers will continue to fall. And just like that, the gold lead has ballooned to over 4,000.
They pick up that Infernal Dragon as well. They're lucky that, or I should say Illinois is lucky that Baron wasn't available just yet. They did find a really good engage that fight. I think they were comfortable taking it, but it really turned around once that Gnar came out and that heroic entrance actually hit people. When heroic entrance hits anyone, you know something great happened. Oh, just perfectly timed.
Yeah, he probably should have EQ'd directly to cast form instead of trying to force cast form to try and position. But that's always one of those things that's one of the first kind of things you learn in League of Legends is how to try and block Ace in the hole. And it's very hilarious when you don't actually block it correctly.
Oh, that dredge line was so unbelievably close. Piemaster barely getting out of there with his life. Meanwhile, the Frozen Mallet was finished up on that Gnar. Dandito actually had a little bit of trouble getting away from him just now.
Yeah, and you know, you take a champion like Gnar and you give him slows on every auto attack. Sounds like a good old time, right?
Yeah, sounds terrific. I wonder if he's going to think about a third damage item or like a tanky damage item. I mean, he can always do...
I think he's probably going Guardian Angel next.
Yeah, he could do that. That was probably the only thought I would have had if I spent a little bit more time thinking about it.
Like, he could probably go something like Guardian Angel Wit's End, I would think. If he wanted more attack speed and damage, like Wit's End is a pretty strong item. Old Wit's End was more fun on Gnar because it gave you the MR shred, so it made your percent health damage do more. But, you know, it's fine either way. But looks like it's going to be Guardian Angel because Chain Vest either builds into Stone Plate or Dead Man's or GA for the most part. And, yeah, I think GA is probably the correct choice here.
All about the vision game around the Baron now. If you're Illinois Academy, you're probably a little bit uncomfortable fighting, especially when you just had a really rough one. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are afraid. As long as they can get a good pick, they can make it work. It's all about finding that good Glacial Prison, finding that good Parallel Convergence, maybe even Dark Quacker, just finding a really good pull. I mean, he can 1v1 pretty much anybody outside of his Gnar on this team. So
I think really even with Trinity Force, if he cancels Gnar's jump away and lands heals on every single one of his Qs, he could potentially try and kill Hibernation. But it requires him to play almost perfectly at this point. But the other people, like you were saying, yes. Now that he has Trinity Force completed, he will do a lot of damage.
Got 2 Ruby Crystals as well. We'll see what that ends up getting built into. That actually would fit into the Ohm Wrecker if he wanted to actually finish it.
Oh man, Avarice just...
Avarice gets caught. This is the catch we were actually talking about. Avarice is still alive, but he can't get a Cataclysm into this fight. Heroic Entrance is in.
Gnar's almost mega.
Almost ready. It's here now. They're in a corridor where they want to be. The 2-man...
The taunt!
Wakanari's down as well. Dandito goes in trying to pick up a kill, and so is Quacker on the backside. Quacker did not get the reset on his dunk. Dandito with a great chrono break picks up a kill.
Gnar's still ready.
Still doing as much damage. The Mega Gnar into 3. Punk is godlike, picking up all the kills, and it was a matter of waiting. It was a matter of getting there, and they're going to be able to pick up this Baron.
Fantastic patience from the side of Dynasty, from Hibernation and Avarice, knowing that they don't have to just run on in and blow their ultimates just right off the bat. Sitting there, waiting. Hibernation landed a fantastic 3-man Gnar into the wall. Jarvan followed that up with a 3-man Cataclysm to pick up the ace. They will get themselves this Baron. They will secure themselves a 7.3 thousand gold lead, and they are firmly in control of this game.
I mean, Dynasty right there. I've never actually seen a Gnar ultimate get held so long. Like, that's unbelievable patience. When you're fighting in a jungle corridor like that, and Hibernation doesn't even press R, he waits for a perfect opportunity. He waits for Jarvan to heal back up and be able to get back into that fight. That was beautifully played all together. And once again, I mean, Dynasty, they keep picking these teamfight comps, and they know how to execute them every single time.
Yeah, and you know, it just kind of goes to show the rest of the teams in their group that, hey, this is probably how Dynasty is going to be playing the entire time. You know, maybe you want to try and ban Jarvan or something and see what other things they can bring to the table, because we saw Orianna get banned this time around and they just plug in Galio instead. They have other picks to play into these engage comps, but Jarvan is an enabler for a lot of it. So I would be interested to see. I'm not saying that they just won't do it if they don't have Jarvan, but I kind of want to see what substitutes for Jarvan they would have if teams were to start banning him away.
Yeah, in Illinois, the last game, until that last team fight where they ended up losing the game, was super, super close. And it makes me wonder what on earth really changed. I mean, they changed up their draft to fix a lot of the things that didn't work. They made a top lane sub, Dark Quacker isn't necessarily performing better than the Scion did last game either, and it's just really altogether been a disaster for Illinois, and they need to work hard to get back in this one.
Yeah, I think it just is just team comp difference, honestly. You know, Darius is a bit of a feast or famine champion. Sejuani has kind of gotten nerfed to where her ultimate is pretty much all of her kit, you know, like her stuns are there, but it's not like she can just be out there 1v1ing people and engaging things without her ultimate up and available. And you know, Echo is a very strong champion, especially after all these buffs he's gotten, and he's done okay for himself. It's just the team composition overall is way stronger on the side of Dynasty.
Yeah. We saw Dandito and Puffles go for a trade there. Puffles was able to win out. And Quacker and Hibernation are going to go at it here. Quacker might be able to win this one. Gnar into the wall, actually, as Hibernation didn't want any more of that.
Yeah, but once he turns range form, he can pretty much get away from Darius whatever with the Frozen Mallet and, you know, all of the random fun things that Gnars have in their kit and ready to use, because he can just kind of walk away, pop his hyper, get the movement speed boost, and just kind of run away from him.
It's really just going to be a slow game of wave clear until this Baron ends. I do think that a Caitlyn is going to be a sufficient amount to make it happen, but it's all about preventing Dynasty right now from fighting you, as Dandito wants to go in again onto Puffles, and they have the Sejuani helping. They're going to give up a tower for this. It better be worth it. Avarice is already down. Great job there. And now Puffles is also going to get hit hard. That's a Glacial Prison coming out. Great block by Killa to stop that one, and Dandito will pick up the shutdown. So they trade 2 kills for a tower.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Make that 2
Yeah,
towers.
you know, they're doing whatever they can to try to claw back into this game. And it's unfortunate that Quacker wasn't able to get any of those kills, because you want to be able to have him be strong enough on a side lane to where he can do things on his own, because right now he's not that. And at this point, he may never be able to match Hibernation in the side lane, who actually went Stoneplate instead of Guardian Angel, so that's pretty interesting. And he's building something out of a Giant's Belt and more armor, so perhaps a Randuin, since Caitlyn is building, you know, Caitlyn's build crit, and reducing crit against crit 80s is always a good thing. So I think Nars decided he has enough damage and just needs to go tank from this point onward.
Baron spawning in 2 minutes. Time to start getting vision around it again. And it's really all going to be about what Illinois can do to find a good fight, turn that right into Baron, and get right back into this game. And I think really the only way you can do it is with a big catch. The Sterix Gauge is actually being built right now by Quacker. That's another thing that's going to help keep him alive in some of these longer fights. But the biggest thing I see in every single team fight Quacker's involved in is that he never gets the execute with his ultimate, and thus it does not reset. That is huge. You have to let it reset or you can't do anything.
Yeah, once it resets, you have your or you have your passive done. You can spread that full stack bleed to everyone. It just opens up so many opportunities for Darius, because then the ult does all that extra bonus damage. I believe right now it does, if I hover it, yeah, 535 maximum damage when the passive is fully stacked. That's a lot of damage on anyone. Even on the Mega Gnar, 500 free true damage to finish someone off is huge. So, you know, Quacker just needs to position himself in these fights and just try and do what he can to stack up a passive and get an execute off, and just start going to town on Dunk City.
The one you need to catch in these team fights is Punk. I mean, you look at all these different team fight engaging tools, but there's not a lot of damage outside of the Gnar and a little bit of the Galio. I think Punk is really the one you need to catch out in order to be able to out-damage Dynasty right now.
And I think the only way Punk gets caught out is if he uses his Killer Instinct greedily, or if he misclicks it or something, and ends up in a spot where Dandito or Quacker, or he steps on one of Piemaster's traps or something. If one of those abilities can get to him, that's think about the only way he actually dies, because he essentially has the rest of his team to frontline for him. He has 4 tanks around him.
Mountain Dragon will go over to Dynasty once again. And now it's once again just this little play around Baron. Quacker does have teleport, so he's going to split push bottom in the meantime. Cast form looks for a dredge line, but doesn't quite get one. Hibernation with Mega Gnar is going to be able to zone off the rest of the team as they siege this inhibitor turret. Or maybe go towards Baron. Looks like they want to bait it right now. It's time to go.
Yeah, and Punk went for more of an AD-styled Kaisa build, has the Runon's Hurricane for himself, has a QSS, also has an Executioner. Oh, the Flash Gnar!
Oh, into the wall to get the full combo they were looking for all along. Sushi Killa stuck in the middle and just has no choice but to die. Punk is legendary, and they didn't even see it coming.
Neither did we. That was just kind of out of nowhere. They just decided to flash on in and make things happen. You know, you can't charge your taunt and flash on Galio anymore. You can still flash and then taunt, and that's precisely what he did. Looks like they just want to finish instead of finishing Baron. I guess Jarvan's trying to solo it.
Quacker can kill Punk. Quacker's gonna kill Punk. He got so close.
Oh, the
Baron
taunt!
piped that one away. That would have been Baron not going over if that had happened. Actually, no, the Jarvan finished it.
Yeah, I think Jarvan finished Baron, but Punk going none there would have been a fantastic shutdown. Would have been a 700 gold shutdown for Quacker. Plus, it would have gotten Punk off the board without a Baron buff. Instead, Punk lives, and now with the second Baron buff of the game, we'll see how much Dynasty can get out of Illinois Academy's base.
And once again, the reason why they didn't get Punk there was because Quacker once again didn't get the reset on his ult. He just gets too trigger happy with it.
Yeah, well, he's having a bit of a rough game, so he's just trying to kill whoever he can, and even if he doesn't get the full-on reset, just getting the gold in his inventory for a kill any way, shape, or form, even assists that he's gotten so far will be good. But it's definitely rough, and it's hard to play a champion with a reset mechanic like that and just never be able to do it. But I'm interested to see if he's finally going to go for that. Omrecker builds out of Chain Vest and Raptor Cloak, right?
I thought it was Raptor Cloak Kindle Gem.
It might be.
We're gonna find out, I guess. That Chain Vest
He might just be going GA or Stoneplate or something. We'll have to see, but
or maybe it's ZZ Rot that's with Kindle Gem.
I think ZZ Rot has magic resistance in it.
It
At
does.
least it used to.
Who knows? I don't build these items. Why would I?
Yeah, I forget what ZZ Rot and Omrecker build out of. We need Magical Voice to come in here and tell us.
Yeah. 1400 crit. Just interesting things to see. Headshot crit 1400 by the Caitlyn there. She does have a Last Whisper right now, trying to get to chip through a lot of those tanks because there are 4 of them right now. And Quacker, Killa, thinking about it? No?
I like how he just kind of pulls Nautilus in and is like, no, you know what, on second thought, I'm just going to leave.
Too scared of that Kaisa. 807 right now. Has the Mercurial Scimitar as well, so you're not locking down that Kaisa at all. Finds cast form. Is that the one you really want to Glacial Prison? They'll take the kill, and they do get the reset with Quacker, but he's already dead before he can do anything about it. Hibernation into the face with Meganar right now. Knows he's practically invincible. A 2-man Cataclysm.
Hero's entrance
right on top. Pops up 4. Pie Master's gone. Wakanari is gone. Sushi Killa is gone. The Jarvan picking up that one as well as a double kill for the Kaisa. Dan Tito's the only one left. Does have Chrono Break available, but I don't think he really even can use it. One inhibitor down mid, another one in the bot lane, and they might just push for the win.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be all she wrote, so Dynasty looking like they're going to finish off a very nice 2-0.
Oh, what a play! Getting out of the parallel convergence to make sure nobody gets stunned, and he picks up another one. And the 2-0 win for Dynasty, dominant in Game 2 after a back-and-forth Game 1.
Yeah, you know, looking at Game 1, it looked like the series would be pretty close. Like, because in Game 1, it was just that one fight close to the base that ended the game for them. I don't think a Baron was even taken in Game 1, if I remember correctly. But in this game, it was just domination by the side of Dynasty. You know, the Kaisa, 1109 for Punk this game. And, you know, you pick the Caitlyn to be that early lane dominant champion. You pick her to get the plates early and to try to not fall into that mid-game lull that Caitlyn normally falls into. And you pick the Darius for the lane domination. And against a Gnar, it becomes hard, but it's still technically doable in that matchup. It's just Hibernation played very well this game as well. Hibernation and Punk really stepped up this game and pushed through what they needed to do.
Absolutely. It was just an all-around terrific game all the way across the map. There was really no one I felt underperformed. Everybody did their job. Everybody did their thing. Hibernation, I've never seen a top laner, even on a tank, just be able to outplay his laner so many different times. We saw it last game on the Ornn, and we saw it again here on the Gnar.
Yeah, and if you were to give an MVP of this series, I think it would definitely have to be Hibernation, especially for that Ornn game. He created so many opportunities for his team in game one, even when the Call of the Forge Gods were canceled, like he wasn't able to activate the second half of it. The slow was still there, and it still forced people to recognize and try to stop the actual second part to come in, that it would put people out of position and allow the rest of his team to go in. And in that last fight, he got himself a double kill just in the backline, killing people. And in this game, he shut down a Grandmaster Darius main on his main champion.
Yeah.
So very good stuff from Hibernation.
Yeah, Punk also is just terrific at positioning. There was a lot of moments in that game one that he just barely got himself out of different fights and was just really good at kiting around. And he was really the cleanup man in both of these games. You know, when people, when all of your front line is dead, you just pick up all the rest of the kills. That's exactly what he did in this game. It's exactly what he did in the game before. And it was just an all around terrific series for him as well. And that bot lane altogether is just dominant.
Yeah, overall, it looks like Dynasty is definitely the team to look out for in this group here, and they look like they understand what they're doing on this comp, and you know they know how to draft engage and play engage. So we'll see if some teams can actually find a way to challenge that. Because I don't think that there's a way to ban out engage. There's just too many things, especially looking at these two drafts where they had like 3 or 4 types of engage each. You can't really ban out all these champions. So
Yeah.
people are going to have to find a way to play around it.
Absolutely. And it was just a terrific series by Dynasty Esports. Be sure to look out for them in this group if you're in there. Definitely be afraid of them. Use these games as notes. Maybe you got to ban the Jarvan. Maybe that's the main thing that stops these team fight compositions, but maybe they already have a plan around it. We'll see how that all pans out. Now, of course, from all of us here at the broadcasting desk, as well as Upsurge Esports, thank you for tuning in and have a great night.